Finding out the adventures that Dale and Jerry have been on. And let's say good morning to you. Hold on a second. I have your screen name as from yesterday's conversation with those kids from the junior high. There we go.
Got it?
I got it. We're good to go now.
You know, we could be in incognito.
Good morning, Jeff.
How you guys doing?
Well, how are you?
I'm well. You guys, first let's talk about the river because you came in over the old Skoke.
The old Skoke is flooding.
Jeez.
Skoke Valley's got some water on the floor, and I suspect the buses are going to have a hard time getting people delivered after school today.
Looks like, let's see, the current, it was well above 17.
Yeah.
But, jeez.
And spring starts Sunday.
It sure does. 1.8 inches of rain yesterday in downtown Shelton.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So,
Record-breaking amounts of rainfall. When you say there's record amounts of rainfall in the Northwest, you're going somewhere.
yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of rain.
I was wondering when we should start building the ark.
I know, right? Launch it out right here at the end of the bay.
I
And
think we're all pretty much in agreement that we're ready to move on to the next season. I mean, this has really been a long, wet winter.
there was a Como thing the other day. A guy on Como, one of the weather forecasters, says since the beginning of October, we've had 3 days of technical sunshine days, which means 30% less cloud cover.
Wow.
3 days since October.
Well, this is the way you keep your skin supple.
Oh, okay. Well,
that what it is?
always the silver lining
There
then.
you go.
this morning.
You don't have to worry about the sun drying out and wrinkling your skin. It'll be well moisturized.
And if mold spores were quarters, well, never mind.
We'd have a gazillion of them. You guys were out hanging out with the North Mason Chamber this past week.
We were hanging up in the north end.
Wow.
We had a great time. 2 margaritas in Allen.
Okay.
The Allen one.
Yeah.
And ran into a lot of friends there from the North Mason Chamber of Commerce and their after hours last Wednesday? Thursday?
I don't know. Time
Thursday, I
flies.
think.
When I'm not on a routine, it's hard to keep track of the days. But
Yeah, Thursday I think it was. And we had a great
right.
time.
Wednesday was empty bowls.
That's right.
And we went and we glazed our bowls, right?
So
We
you
have
guys are
that
going to
tonight.
finish those up?
Yeah,
tonight?
tonight's the final night for Empty Bowls.
For sure.
I was going to try to contact Ziegler last night. It was about 8:45, though. I didn't want to bother him. But to remind him or ask him if he wanted to come on real fast to remind us.
Well,
but Empty Bowls tonight.
Right,
Yes.
right. And
So this is the soup night, right?
Yeah.
this is the soup night for sure, for sure.
Rumor has it there's going to be a little gooey duck chowder.
Well, there you go.
Yes, Zen was, and she always wants to bring plenty so everybody has
Yeah.
some. So that's always great fun. This is my first time for the
So
the
you get to
bowls
see what
things.
it looks like.
Yeah, so I get to see what my prize possession. You know, I have this plot. What I think I'm going to do is give the bowl to my son.
There you go.
Because, see, I have a creation he did back in the second grade that I've been packing around for years.
So you give him something to touch.
Touche.
Remember when you gave me this thing? Well, hey.
Yeah.
Oh,
Got one
Here's
for
a
you.
payback, sweetheart.
So what's the mood like up at the North Mason Chamber? Are people encouraged?
Yeah, they are still upbeat. You know, and they have the struggle of that construction constantly. I think they've all grown to accept it and work around it.
Yeah.
It's frustrating, but it's barely a point of contention or point of conversation up there anymore. And they just are all very upbeat, very fun group up there, and it's fun to hang out with them.
Sure.
And especially just for an hour or so, every once in a
Yeah,
while.
it's fun to hang out
It's a
with
limit.
anybody for just for an hour.
About an
But
hour.
no, they were good, and they were so welcoming. Oh, we're so glad to see you here and
Yeah.
whatnot, which is a point of embarrassment in that. Wait a minute, how long has it been since we've been up there? You know, so we're going to try to rectify that and get a little bit more engaged there. It's interesting. There a couple of the vendors there. One was the pot shop, and the other one was the vape shop.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
and buying full page ads out of the North Chamber visitor guide and whatnot. So engagement and support of that small community. You know, we geographically we're too far away to be cozy, if you would, with them, and so. But that group in there is very, very much engaged.
Yeah.
Met the 2 new managers at the Safeway store there in Belfair.
Oh, cool.
This is the one that blew
Nice
me
young,
over.
bright guys. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the one that blew me over because back in I think '09. When we were trying to solicit membership for the chamber and that, I went over here to this Safeway and they couldn't do anything, they told me. it gave me the regional number, and they were not at all interested in engaging themselves in the chamber and or the community. They are willing to take the tax dollars, but they don't want to put a thing. I said, you got to be kidding me. You're right smack dab in the middle of a city, and you're not helping them with, their woes. Well, we do, because we collect things for breast cancer and whatnot. Yeah. And they assured me those stayed in the county or the city where they were collected. And I said, well, I wouldn't want to have to audit that one. But that's on the. But I was really blown over when the Safeway guys were there,
sure.
and they knew it. So I really
cool.
Anyway, so. Also, my daughter came.
Oh yeah.
And she brought a girlfriend, and that's Monday afternoon. She showed up, and then only spent the night. But we had a great time playing Mexican Train. Have you ever played Mexican Train?
Dominoes.
Actually, I had Patrice over a couple weeks ago and to the house, and he taught me how to play. I'd never played dominoes before. You won 4
out of 7.
Yeah.
They just said, well,
didn't.
just match. Just find the matches. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well, what's the real story then?
Well, the real story is that he cheated.
and we actually only played 2 games. Yeah. It was a long night.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was seeing double by the time that. So you're probably right. You probably did get 4 games. But most important, before we run out of time, and this is from a community. Oh, we got plenty of time. All right. So we won't badmouth him about the next joint. Yeah. Anyway, there was a discussion yesterday, a briefing by Frank Pinter to the county commissioners of the 2018 budget.
Yeah, never too early to start looking about that.
Well, be very afraid. Because the economic situation, if you remember when we came in and balanced the budget for 2017, it's projected at the end, if everything went as planned, there would be only about $16,000 left in the ending cash balance, ending cash fund for the general fund. And I hadn't heard, numbers for a while. Of course, I haven't been attending every meeting, but that was one of the things that was of concern. So when I saw it on the agenda as a briefing, so I popped in there, and I'm so glad I did. Because there's a lot of issues with the 2018 budget in being able to meet the needs of the county, the expenses of the county, and with the property taxes being your main source of income, they don't cover it. So what are we doing to balance that budget or get prepared for that budget? And there were several, multiple suggestions by Frank Pinter. And some of them not pretty. Yeah. So I really would encourage the people of the county, especially those concerned citizens, to get involved in that. I'll try to flag those budget meetings weekly if I see them come up, on this meeting, because we can't ignore this. This is things that absolutely affect us. Some of them are a result of past commissions and things that, we're saddled with. But that's it. We're saddled with them, and it's like trying to meet a budget. You know how much fun that is, right?
I sure do. Nowadays, I sure do.
And the only way you can fix offering people higher wages, which was one of the things they did last year because the people deserved it and whatnot. The only way you fix those kinds of things is to increase your income. And there's limited ways that the county can do that. And if we recall, we've put off 1% tax increases for about the last 3 or 4 years. Yeah. So that definitely has an impact on that income. The other, there's so many different factors. One of them that wasn't mentioned, and I want to point that out to the commission, was the fact that the amount of land that is going into land trusts and goes off the property tax rolls. What's the impact of that? And it deteriorates that future income that you may be planning.
Yeah.
And so that's not only the Bureau of Indian Affairs moving the tribal lands as they are requested by the tribes into that, but we also have Capital Land Trust, we have the conservatories and stuff like that, which is a great way to conserve the land. But what's the impact on the county budget? So there's a lot of factors, a lot of hands.
A lot of layers to
Yeah,
that.
I remember that.
Yeah.
So,
A lot of
some
hands in the
questions,
pockets.
People bringing those questions up years ago about
Yeah.
capital.
So,
Land
well,
Trust
you
and things
find
like
there's
that.
always a repetition to the woes
Yeah.
of any county
Oh,
or
yeah.
any city or whatever. So,
Yeah. This is not going to be easy or fun for the commission, and so one of the exercises that Pinter's been assigned is to do an analysis of, where all of the dollars went.
Sure.
So that'll be kind of interesting to hear. But I think that the general public needs to be involved in this. And as I mentioned last week, the FEMA.
Yeah.
That FEMA meeting's coming up next week on the 21st, and they want to be sure. You want to be sure to go attend that, especially if you think you're in a flood zone.
correct.
And you may
City
not
or
know
county.
now. You may not know if you're in a flood zone now.
That's
with
a good
some of these
point, too.
changes.
Right, and you can look at the flood maps, and
We're all in a flood zone this winter.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. You can look at the FEMA flood maps, and because they have been revised, but it's a matter of interpretation. And those flood maps, by the way, have not been finalized, so they're not official. So
Jerry's been adventuring a lot, Dale, here now. Obviously.
Okay, so I went to the Ridge
Okay.
race course on Monday.
Good contribution here. To
And they've got a new motocross section to their events. They got the go-kart track. They got now
wow.
motocross for dirt bike competition and running and having a good time. So they want people to know about that. Both those venues will be open and available to the public as soon as the weather breaks
Sure.
and things start settling down a little bit. They got a lot of great plans. They went from like 180 dates last year to over 300 dates this year.
Whoa.
So there's just a handful of days when there's nothing going on
Yeah.
out there.
Huh.
And that'll basically be from April through into October.
Boy, that's
So
huge.
It's a big thing. Tomorrow, I have a luncheon date, an early jump on St. Patrick's Day, one of my big holidays,
Yeah.
with Mark Nature Boy Wojtowicz, one of my good friends.
Yeah, heading off.
And local, nature fella, a photographer, videographer. Local guy. And we always have an engaging and
it's
great
really-
conversation, especially about the second hour of the conversation.
it's really local.
So Linda's out of town. He wants to get together.
Uh-oh.
So we're going to hook up tomorrow. And I haven't seen him for quite a while.
Yeah.
So that'll be a lot of fun. Next Wednesday, I'll be at the airport about this time.
That's right. You're heading out.
Heading out. So she'll run solo.
Yeah.
Gonna need some
Right.
reports called in.
Yeah, I'll be doing flips and
if that
Are you
works.
sure?
I mean, maybe not. We'll talk about that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, how dry I am doesn't go well on the radio.
All right. Well, good.
Yeah.
And that puts us right at time here. Anything last?
Well, the only thing is I caught up with Tom Davis yesterday as
yeah.
well. I flagged the meeting to him, and he went. So we got to catch up, and he's been, immersed in the veterans.
Oh yeah.
And he wrote a citizen editorial regarding the full jail and how come we're not using these alternative courts. And that is really a huge question, is why aren't we using that? And I know what happens is you shift the burden over to the courts, and the courts then need more people, etc. It's just a great big snowball
It
that
is.
keeps gathering moss in this case.
Oh my gosh. It's
Yeah.
always something. Dale, Jerry, well, have adventures.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff.